Welcome back to the Corporate Sister TV. I'm Solange Lopes and I'm the founder of the Corporate Sister website and brand. Today's video is part of our Ask a CPA feature where we address business, accounting, and financial questions from our audience. And these questions are especially targeted at small business owners and more particularly at women-owned businesses. Today's question is, how can I accurately keep track of my expenses in my small business? This is such an important and crucial question for small business owners. One of the biggest challenges that small business owners face is managing and accurately keeping track of what's happening in their businesses. And a big part of what's happening in their businesses that can hurt their bottom line is their expenses, or what is being paid out in order to keep the business afloat and generate revenue. This is why it is so important to understand and find a system that, as a small business owners, allows you to keep accurate track of your expenses. Here are 3 tips that may help. Tip number 1 is to open and maintain a separate business bank account. This is a tip that is very often overlooked by very busy small business owners who, in the hustle and bustle of everyday activities to run the business, tend to commingle their personal and their business finances. And that's a big no-no. Not only does it make it more challenging to track what's happening in your business as opposed to what's happening in your personal finances, but it also puts you at risk of not accurately planning what is needed in your business, not to mention putting your own personal finances at risk. In order to avoid these issues, it is best to set up a separate bank account for your business. This allows you to set a specific amount of money dedicated to your business expenses and to be able to have a clean report of your expenses, specifically at the level of that separate business bank account. That was tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to decide what type of basic accounting system you want to use in your small business. And here you may have to decide between what we call a cash basis of accounting or the accrual basis of accounting. These may seem like complicated terms, but they really are not. Very small businesses tend to use what we call the cash basis of accounting, whereby they would record expenses based on a cash exchange. So they would go and buy supplies at Lowe's and pay cash, so they would record the cash payment as an expense. This is different from what we call the accrual basis of accounting. That's more suited to growing businesses, and that's also accepted in the accounting standards, and according to which expenses are recorded not based on a cash exchange, but based on whether the expense was incurred or not. And this is so much more appropriate for our times where we tend to incur a lot of expenses that we pay on credit later on. So very often an exchange of cash does not happen. So using the accrual basis of accounting is more suitable for payments on credit and more suitable for a business that's growing in modern times where we hardly ever exchange cash anymore. That was tip number 2. Last but not least, tip number 3 is to schedule and set up a system that allows you to have some time to accurately keep track of and record your expenses. As a small business owner, you're very busy. You have a lot going on, especially as you're trying to grow your business. And this may mean that very often you may not have time to dedicate to your business accounting. And that's a big mistake because it puts you at a risk of not knowing what's happening in your business, especially as related to your expenses. So I often advise small business owners to take some time on purpose, which means adding it purposely to your schedule to record your expenses. That may mean a couple of hours on Friday or a couple of hours on Saturday or over the weekend to go over your receipts, be they paper or electronic receipts, and go over any other forms of documentation of your expenses that you may have, to make sure that you record them accurately in the system of your choice. This system may be a paper system, it may be a spreadsheet system, or it may be an electronic system like QuickBooks, for example. Depending on where you are in your business and where you're going, you may choose a different type of system. But here, the most important thing to begin with is to make sure that whatever system you're using, you're dedicating some time to actually record and keep track of your expenses in that system. These are the 3 tips that I wanted to share with you to address today's question as to how to better keep track of your expenses as a small business owner. If you have any more questions as to managing your small business, please email us at corporate@thecorporatesister.com. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.